Fleetwood Mac are undisputed legends of classic rock, having performed and recorded since 1967. Their founding members were Peter Green, Mick Fleetwood, and Jeremy Spencer, and they added John McVie shortly after. Of course, the band's premier lineup didn't come to fruition until 1975 when Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks joined the band. Of course, as often happens with successful bands, there have been ups and downs over the years. But what gives the Fleetwood Mac story a little more intrigue is the romantic aspect. Join facts first as we talk about the chaotic affairs within Fleetwood Mac that nearly broke up the band. When Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks joined Fleetwood Mac in 1974, the band's sound immediately shifted from a more folk sound to a more rock and pop one. The resulting sound was one that truly resonated with audiences around the world, sending their singles to the top of the charts and their albums to multi-platinum status. They released their self-titled album, Fleetwood Mac, in 1975, and it shot to #1 in the US. And as remarkable as that was, they topped it with their next album, Rumors, in 1977. It produced 4 top 10 singles in the US and was a #1 album in the country for an incredible 31 weeks. It topped the charts in a variety of other countries and wound up winning the 1978 Grammy for Album of the Year. It's also one of the best-selling albums in music history. While the end product was an album that was critically acclaimed, popular on the charts, and long-lasting, Rumors was also the center of a whirlwind of romantic craziness within the band. John and Christine McVie. In the early 60s, bassist John McVie was part of John Mayall and the Blues Breakers, a popular blues band in England. During his time in that band, he met and played alongside Mick Fleetwood, a talented drummer. Before long, the two decided to leave Mayall and join up with their friend Peter Green's new project. That was the 1967 origin of Fleetwood Mac. McVie went to a jazz festival in 1967 where he met vocalist and pianist Christine Perfect. She was playing with a band called Chicken Shack at the time. In 1969, McVie found he couldn't stop thinking about Christine since their meeting 2 years prior. Despite the fact that he was engaged at the time, he couldn't resist dating and falling in love with Christine. They were married within 6 months. Christine not only became his partner in life, but also in music. She joined Fleetwood Mac in 1970, right around when Peter Green left. But there was trouble in paradise, and the couple began experiencing marital problems in the mid-70s. This was just the tip of the iceberg when it came to the romantic drama that plagued the band. Before we tell you more, be sure to give this video a like and subscribe to Facts First if you haven't already. Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks. Next on the list is Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks. The two met in the 1960s at a church gathering they both sang in. They were in high school at the time and had an immediate musical chemistry. Together with some high school pals, they formed the Fritz Rabine Memorial Band in 1966. And while that band's music may not have had a lasting impact, the relationship between Lindsey and Stevie certainly did. The two began dating as the band broke up. They also continued their musical journey together. After moving to LA, they scored a deal with Anthem Records and released an album called Buckingham Nicks. And shortly after, they were recruited to join Fleetwood Mac. Unfortunately, in what was otherwise an exciting and life-changing time for them, their relationship had already begun falling apart as they were joining Fleetwood Mac. Nicks later revealed the only reason they stayed together after joining the band was to make sure an album got made. She said the relationship was already in dire straits, and they likely would have split up a lot sooner had they not been trying to keep things copacetic for band unity. Bob Weston and Mick Fleetwood's wife, Jenny. But the romantic drama wasn't limited to only band members. Guitarist Bob Weston joined the band in 1972, replacing former member Danny Kirwan. Weston was immediately liked by the rest of the band and was a talented player to boot, but perhaps his attributes of being, quote, charming and funny, as Mick once called him, were also what got him in hot water. Mick's wife, Jenny, joined the band on tour in those days, so she had a personal relationship with the band's members. But one of those relationships turned romantic, her relationship with Bob Weston. What started out as friends turned into a full-on affair. And of course, since the band was literally together all the time, it wasn't long before Mick found out. During their tour in 1973, Mick noticed something was going on between the two and questioned Jenny about it. She admitted to having an affair with Weston. Mick was so angry, he immediately fired Weston from the band. In later years, Weston admitted he strongly regretted the affair. He said it was an expensive one since it cost him a career as a member of Fleetwood Mac. Christine McVie and Martin Birch. Even fans of Fleetwood Mac are likely not that familiar with the name Martin Birch, but he still had a large role in the band and its romantic chaos. Birch was the band's sound engineer, helping to make their carefully crafted music sound as good as possible. But Birch soon became more than that. After 3 happy years of marriage, Christine and John started having marital issues. By 1973, things had gone quite off the rails. Christine later likened her husband to the famous characters of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. She claimed that due to John's excessive drinking, he was turning into a monster, Mr. Hyde, a lot more, and leaving his normal self, Dr. Jekyll, aside a lot. Thus, she found herself turning to the affection of another man. She had an affair with Martin Birch, only fanning the flames of her troubles with her husband. McVie eventually found out, and Birch was fired from the band. Christine McVie and Curry Grant. Curry Grant is likely another name you aren't familiar with, but he played a role in the band's romantic tumult. After ending things with Martin Birch when he was fired from the band, Christine decided to keep it in the family, if you will. She began an affair with Curry Grant, the band's lighting director. At that point, Christine and John's marriage was in utter shambles. They were recording rumors, and the tension in the studio was palpable. Christine later admitted the two were essentially not speaking to each other beyond any relevant information about the songs they were recording. Unfortunately, the entire band was aware of Christine's affair with Grant, which made things that much more awkward and difficult during recording sessions. Eventually, the strain of the affairs and their crumbling marriage was too much, and Christine and John divorced in 1976 after 7 years of marriage. John later admitted he didn't have hard feelings about the affairs since he knew his behavior played a big part. Incidentally, the Fleetwood Mac song You Make Loving Fun was secretly written about Curry Grant. At the time, Christine told John it was about her dog, but it was actually an ode to her fling with the lighting director. Stevie Nicks and Mick Fleetwood. After Stevie and Lindsey broke up, she began dating other people. She was in the middle of a relationship with another man when she entered into a love affair with Mick Fleetwood in the later 70s. He was also in another relationship at the time. In his book, Play On, Mick admitted he fell in love with Stevie over the course of the 70s as they recorded and toured together. He said their romance lasted on and off for several years. But even Nicks admitted it was primarily fueled by drugs and booze. She also said she regretted their relationship took a toll on Mick's family. Now it's time to hear from you. Do you think all this romantic chaos helped make the band creatively more energized, or would they have been an even better band without it? Let us know in the comments section below. And before you go, make sure you give this video a like and subscribe to Facts First if you haven't already. Click the bell icon to stay updated on all our latest content. By the way, if you haven't joined Facts First as a member yet, be sure to look below this video and click the join button. By becoming a paid member of Facts First, you'll get access to exclusive video content that you won't find anywhere else.